All right. Welcome back, folks, to the FF Face Off. We are part of the Face Off Sports Network. Today, we are coming at you with some start-sit questions. You got questions? We got answers. Someone said
Yes.
that. I forget who that was. Please don't sue us, whoever you were. But yeah, we're going to help you out today. We're going to help you win in week 2. Also, obviously, of course, if you have any trade questions, any bet questions, if you're doing any betting tonight, all of that, we've got you covered wire to wire. It's going to be a good time. Looking very much forward to that. Everybody, please feel free to like and subscribe to our show at some point over on the YouTube. And also visit fffaceoff.com for all of your NFL, fantasy football, and sports betting needs. My name is Michael Hoff. You can follow me on X at the FF Realist. I'm joined by Mr. Pete Nova, who can be followed at Supernova38. That's with 2 R's, of course. Pete, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good. I feel refreshed.
All right.
Feeling good today. How about you guys?
Oh, ah, feel fantastic. Anthony,
Yeah.
as per our off-air conversation, I'm not so sure, but we won't bring that up. We're gonna leave that in the rear view. We're gonna just leave that there. Joining us also, of course, the godfather of the FF Face-Off, the ever handsome, the ever wonderful. He doesn't know who Jelly Roll is, but we still like him anyway. His name is Anthony Servino, and he can be followed the real NFL guru. Anthony, my darling, how you doing, buddy?
Doing good. Happy to be here. Week 2, NFL season. Weird week 1. So happy we can turn the page and get into week 2. Hopefully, some of the duds turn into studs this week because there was a lot of them.
Yeah, especially at the tight end position. Tight end was ugly last week. So, yeah, hopefully we will turn that around. I will just say, as we start to get into some questions, I'm sure these questions will roll in from you beautiful people. We are looking at tonight's game. At some point during this show, we should hear officially if Devon Achane is playing, the expectations that he's going to play. He's going to test it out in pregame. So we'll see. My thing is this, guys, and Pete, I'll go to you first, and then I'll go to Anthony. What is your level of confidence if he plays? Are you worried about what if he goes out there for a bit, doesn't feel so hot, and then they pull him? I mean, you kind of run that risk. So do you have that risk, Pete? Do you feel that or no?
You got to start Achane regardless. I mean, he's a guy that can do a lot with a little. And so at the end of the day, like, even if you're like, hey, he only gets 10 touches and then leaves the game.
Right.
I mean, that's what he did last year, and he was able to be successful for fantasy. It's a good matchup. No Mostert. Jeff Wilson probably falls into that Mostert role. So if Achane's there, I'm playing him because I don't want to sit there and be sitting there looking at the game and say, oh, I should have played this guy because he's a stud. And there's only going to be so many games this guy potentially plays this year. So I want every single one that he is playing. So I'm starting.
Especially when you paid the cost that you did on draft day. Anthony, how about you? You feeling the same as Pete?
Yeah, obviously, like you never want to feel good about starting a player like this, but Devon Achane doesn't need a ton of touches. He can pop at any time. And you would think week 2, if Miami felt like this could be something that could linger, almost like how the 49ers are handling McCaffrey, hey, if this can linger, let's hold him out. If they think this is something significant where Devon Achane can go out there and significantly hurt himself, you would hope that they make him inactive. But if Achane's out there, I think you got to start him. Last year, 2 nice games against Buffalo, 10 for 56 and a touchdown, and then 8 for 101 and 2, and then he also caught 3 for 19. So 2 very productive fantasy outings for Achane against the Bills.
All right, let's get into some of these questions here. Duffel Bag Boy says DeAndre Swift start or sit. Now, here's the thing: when you guys ask questions, we love context. We like to know, who you're debating, who's on the bench. I mean, so just general question, Anthony. I'll give it to you, Anthony. Just general question: would you start or sit DeAndre Swift this week, not knowing the variables?
I'm not exactly happy if I have to start DeAndre Swift after last week. Chicago's offense didn't look good. They're lucky. I don't know if they won the game or Tennessee gave away the game, but this offense did not help their cause. And the matchup against Houston, Sunday Night Football, this is going to be a lot of pressure on Williams. Maybe we see an extended run out of DeAndre Swift. But Houston's defense, they were able to minimize Jonathan Taylor last week. I know he scored, but he really didn't do much else. And even Anthony Richardson as a runner, I don't think he had that impressive of a game.
Yeah. No, good point. I will also just mention, as these questions pile up, if you want to get ahead of the line, you can always send in a super chat and we bump you right up in front of the line. VIP treatment. Pete, we are getting a question from Pete, that being Peter York over on the Facebook. He says, hey, guys, who should I start, Nabers or Ridley? I should just put the disclaimer out there. While I don't think it's serious, Nabers did land on the injury report today with his knee. If Daniel Jones was my quarterback, I'd probably say I had a knee injury too. But, Pete, what says you, Nabers or Ridley this week?
So Ridley was in the top 4 for air yards last week. On top of that,
Anthony
he
loves
also,
air yards.
On top of that, he had over a 25% target share on his team. So I mean, it's hard not to start Ridley, but at the same time, it's a really good matchup for Malik Nabers. He is dealing with that knee injury, like you said, Hoff. So there is some concern there, but I mean, I think it's a pretty easy decision for me. I'm starting Nabers. I mean, Sauce and DJ Reed against Ridley. It's a tough matchup for him. So I would start Nabers.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. No, I was going to say, you guys feel free to chime in if you want to, add a take.
I saw a stat on the Jets secondary that they've only given up 5 passing touchdowns since the beginning of 2023, 2 wide receivers, and Nabers pedestrian last week. But the matchup, Daniel Jones, I don't even know if he's bad enough to fuck up this matchup against Washington. Washington let up 14 receptions, right around 170 plus yards, and 4 touchdowns on 17 targets to the combination of Godwin, Jalen McMillan, and Mike Evans. So you would think there's a game where Daniel Jones can play decent quarterback, and you have this elite talent of Malik Nabers. Like, this should be his coming out party. Even if he doesn't pop a lot this year, this is the matchup where you put him out there, and like, this is why I drafted you where I drafted you.
That's all fair. It's all fair. Anthony, this next one's going to go to you, so don't get too comfortable. But Ty Williams over on the Facebook is asking, Waddle or Aaron Jones in the flex? So that's a question about tonight because Jalen Waddle's about to take the field. What says you, Anthony? Waddle or Aaron Jones? Aaron Jones looked pretty good week 1.
Yeah, Jones did look good. And I know people are worried about Chandler. Like, that game was blown open. I think Chandler got some extra run because of the score. Yeah. Maybe a little bit of garbage time production. So I think Aaron Jones is the guy in this backfield. Minnesota this week, they are playing your 49ers at home, which
by
means
the way,
we could see Aaron Jones catch a lot of passes. But let's also keep in mind, Aaron Jones normally does play well against San Francisco. In his past 3 games against San Francisco, albeit with Green Bay, 19 for 82 and then 2 for 14. Then he went for over 129 yards receiving in 2022. Last year in the playoffs, 18 for 108. So, like, if we're going to ride a historical trend, this might be the one to ride. Plus, it's Sam Darnold. Like, I think this could be a big Aaron Jones game. On the other side, you have Waddle. I do think this is going to be a higher scoring game. Jalen Waddle is healthy. He popped over 100 last week, but normally against Buffalo, he hasn't played well in the past 2. Going back to 2022, he popped for over 100 yards in each game. So a little bit of an erratic trend here. I don't love Tua against Buffalo either. So I think if you want to play it safe, I'd go Aaron Jones. But if you look at your matchup, I like to tell people this in this situation where I like both. If your matchup is telling you that it's going to be close, maybe you can't afford a dud, so you throw out Aaron Jones. If your matchup is saying, hey, like, I'm playing against Tyreek Hill, and I might be down 30 points tonight, then you might need the ceiling of Jalen Waddle.
Yeah, you're 1,000% correct that Aaron Jones has played well against the Niners. There's no lies detected there. And also the other thing, which I always knew Minnesota was a house of horrors for the 49ers. I didn't know it was this bad. They have that's why I'm saying this game could be close. I'm saying that's why, the Niners haven't won in Minnesota since 1992, which is like yeesh. So,
If
but I think the game's gonna be closer than people think.
if
Unfortunately,
Sam Darnold beats
Yes.
the 49ers
I will throw up.
and Aaron Rodgers couldn't with the Jets, if I'm a Jets fan, I don't even know if I'm going to work.
That's you bang
Hey,
out on
I just
Monday.
want to I just want to point out the only other thing to add some context.
Sure.
Ty Chandler only ran 3 less routes than Jones last week. So if you think that the Vikings are going to be down, don't be surprised if he eats into that workload. He actually saw one more target than Aaron Jones did as well. So
I think they'll be within striking distance the whole game just because the Niners never play well there. It's always a thing. Always. Even last year. All right. Jared Fortin. Yes, he's a friend of ours on the Facebook. He's always very active in here. Appreciate you, Jared. If while you people are in here, please feel free to hit the like button. But I'm gonna go to Pete on this one. He says, "Hey guys, hope all is well. Kincaid or likely PPR flex." He's also saying he's got Demarcus Robinson, Singletary, Jeudy, Wendell, Robinson, PPR flex.
Yeah, I think he's asking for 2 here. He wants the tight end, and then he wants
that way.
Yeah, I'll start with the tight end. It's Kincaid for me. Look, I need to see it again for likely unless I don't have a strong play at tight end. You drafted Kincaid as a top 5 tight end. He didn't get it. Last week was an anomaly. Week 1 is so random in football. I mean, so there was a lot of weird things that happened last week. Brock Bowers had 10 fantasy points and he was a tight end 3. Like, do we think stuff like that's going to happen? Likely is going to be viable, but I also think
get 10 fantasy points all year.
That is true.
You
guys have a pizza. So yeah, I mean, I start Kincaid. I think he's going to have a good night tonight. Me and Anthony are on him for anytime touchdown scorer. I think he's going to have a good day. In terms of the flex options, I know you have DeMarcus Robinson, Singletary, Jeudy, Wandale. Honestly, I after digging into it a little bit more, I think I might go Devin Singletary. Reason being is he's got the Washington run defense with what Bucky Irving and Rashad White was able to do against them last week, and I think Singletary will be using the pass game as well, and this game will be close enough. I think so. I think I would go Singletary just because I think he provides the best floor. DeMarcus Robinson could be a good play, but Tyler Johnson beat him out on yards per out run. And so
I also think Colby Parkinson's going to get some play there too.
I think Parkinson's going to be – I think Parkinson was the guy to buy off waivers out of everybody on the Rams this week. Yeah. So that would be me. I think Wandale's an interesting play because he had like 12 targets last week, but – unless it's Nabers, I don't really feel great starting any Giants receiver until I see it consistently. So
fair enough. Anthony, next question goes to you, my fine sir. Hoseman. I assume Hoseman because it says Hose and then MN74. I'm going to call you Hoseman. Hope that's fine. He says, hello, fellas. Start one in flex, PPR. Drake London. Your the love of your life, Anthony, Ezekiel Elliott really or Jeff Wilson. I mean, I love him too. I can't quit him. But yeah, okay. So Drake London, Ezekiel Elliott, or Jeff Wilson. You got to pick one of those guys for PPR.
Listen, I'm going back to Drake London, and right after that game, the head coach in Atlanta, Raheem Morris, says we need to target Drake London more. Only 3 targets in week 1.
Duh.
I think you have to go, like, he was one of the elite players, one of the many who didn't show up last week. I think this is going to be a get-right game. Plus, I don't trust Philly's secondary after what Jordan Love and that Green Bay Packers unit did to them. So this should be a get-right game. Like, I get you have Jeff Wilson. I'm not playing. Like, who knows what Jeff Wilson's going to do tonight? Who knows how this backfield's going to play out if Achane and Wright are active? So let's go with the best guy you have in a pretty good matchup. Like Philly, when it's all said and done, is still starting or 2 rookies are getting significant playing time in that secondary.
Sure. Mike McDaniel's always going to try and give Jeff Wilson some love, but he's not gonna do a ton with it. And I think Wright would immediately showcase himself as being better than Wilson. So it wouldn't even last long if Wilson got some attention. So I don't even think he's even in that conversation. This one's going over to you, Pete. Michael T saying, afternoon, gents. Are we leaning Brock Bowers? I should have kicked this one to Anthony. Or JSN, full PPR. I will just say before Pete answers, we do have our start sits for each position in our archives here on YouTube. Brock Bowers was one of my starts, so that gives you my answer. But Pete, what says you, man? Brock Bowers, JSN, full point per reception.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. JSN, Tyler Lockett still looks like Tyler Lockett, and that's a concern for JSN for me. JSN's a full fade until I see him, until he proves me otherwise, unfortunately. If Tyler Lockett's going to be catching eight catches a game still, I can't in good faith start him. I think Bowers worries me a little bit because of what the Ravens were able to do to Kelsey. But I think they're going to respect Devontae Adams a little bit more than they respected the number one, which would be Rashee Rice on the Chiefs last week. So I would start Bowers over JSN pretty comfortably for me. I know Bowers is going to be involved in the game plan. With JSN, I just don't know.
Yeah. Amen. Anthony, this is coming from our resident troll, ATL. He wants to know, which he's a Dolphins fan, so this is an interesting question. He's probably looking for some perspective. Should he start Tua tonight or Stafford? I will just say before Anthony answers, I seem to like Tua a little more than these guys tonight, but I would still start Stafford. But Anthony, what says you, man?
I don't love Tua in this matchup. Obviously, he has elite receivers, but outside of a few games, historically doesn't always play well. Meanwhile, you got Matthew Stafford. I would call this a must-win game for the Rams. This is a team that they're injured, really injured on the offensive line. They're out Puka Nacua, and they're in one of the tougher divisions. So I think this is a must-win game. Both of these teams are in must-win situation. So I think we see a good amount of throwing from Matthew Stafford. So I'm going to go Stafford here pretty comfortably.
Pete, just quickly, would you would you agree with that? I say Stafford, even though I like Tua more than you guys tonight. Would you agree, Stafford?
Yeah, Stafford has the second best matchup passing wise on the week, and his Vegas numbers are better than Tua's as well. So I would definitely go with Stafford.
All right. So, Pete, Hoseman's back. 6 point for touchdown. Start Stroud or Mayfield. I like Mayfield this week. Love Mayfield.
Man, that's tough. I go Mayfield as well. Stroud has one of the toughest matchups secondary-wise on the week. We saw what they did with Mixon. They're not afraid to give this guy 20, 30 carries. And with the game script and with Chicago – yeah, and again, we talked about Mixon, and I don't want to get into a spin-off here, but regardless, 30 touches, the game plan probably leans to them running. Pollard had a nice day last week against this run defense, and this secondary is one of the better ones in the league, surprisingly, with Jalen Johnson and some of those other guys back there. So, yeah, unfortunately, I'm starting Baker. I'm going to keep riding that hot hand.
All right, there we go. Anthony, would you agree with that, by the way? Are you cool with that?
Yeah, I'm slightly leaning that way, too.
Okay. Paul wants to know, Anthony. He's over on the Facebook. We appreciate you Facebook people immensely. You guys are awesome. He said, hey, guys, or hey, guys, since it's you answering, Anthony. He says, have Tank Dell as my flex, but it's tough to start him with that potent receiving core. Would you start Keon Coleman tonight or Dell at flex? He can also plug in, for what it's worth, Isaiah Likely in as his flex. If I was answering, which I'm going to, I guess, I would go Keon Coleman. I like Keon Coleman tonight. I think he does a little bit of damage.
Yeah,
a little more than Dell, at least.
This is tough because we think Dell is probably the number 2 receiver here, but Stephon Diggs throws a monkey wrench. Now, Diggs got the targets, but he had one of the lower ADOTs on the week, got the touchdown. So I still think this is Nico Collins' wide receiver room, but we have to note, Nico Collins did pop up on the injury report. So that is something I would monitor. But the issue is you have Keon Coleman going tonight. So if you plug Keon Coleman, that kind of kills you if Nico Collins somehow sad. I don't think he will, but I do want to plug that in there. I guess go Keon Coleman tonight. I don't love it. But like this Chicago Bears secondary is also pretty good. And I just don't know how I feel about this Sunday night game. Like this is going to be a really difficult game to handicap for me because, like, in theory, the Texans score on anybody, but this could also be like I actually like an under, and I don't like unders. I like the under on Sunday.
Who the hell likes unders? What sociopath likes unders? That's
I like
the
it on
real
Sunday
question.
night. I think I like it on Sunday night. But yeah,
Yeah,
I would go Keon. I would throw Keon in.
What's that, Pete? What do you got?
Yeah. No. I was gonna say I took the under on Waddle's catches tonight. So
I meant unders in terms of game totals. People always want to see points, you know.
I usually fade unless I generally fade. I did take the under on the Jets.
So you are a sociopath.
Week,
okay. All right. All right.
I did take the under on the Jets this week. We had
a
a whole argument about this in the chat where Steve was like, unders usually hit more, and Anthony and me were like, yeah, it's just not fun. So I'd rather just not bet it at that point usually.
Yeah, no, that's like soft porn. It's like, who cares? You know, it's like, what are we doing? Let's go to Greg. Greg actually has a question. Usually he always chimes in with some clever stuff, but he does have a question. He says, I'm tempted to start Godwin over London this week. 0.5 point per reception. Pete, I'll kick this one to you, but I'll say.
No, why don't you answer this one? Answer this one.
I already am starting Godwin over London this week. If the decision is mine, listen again. I've said it a couple times on this show this week. We heard a lot during the offseason that they wanted to put Godwin back in the slot. He was unproductive last year. He wasn't in the slot a ton, only 19.3% of the time. This past week, it was right up there near 45, 46%. I apologize. I don't have the number right in front of me, but it was high 40s. He was back in the slot, and he was productive. And if we're going to ride the hot hand with Baker Mayfield, which we all said we're going to do, and Chris Godwin's running out of the slot, and we saw what happened when he did, I'm going to continue to ride. I'll go with that too. So I would go Godwin over London. I think London will be good for you. I have Kirk Cousins as a sit this week because I'm a little worried about how he played. You know, Rodgers and him both coming off the Achilles. Rodgers, while he didn't put up great fantasy numbers, he looked pretty good, though.
He had zip on that ball, too.
He had zip on the ball. He had that, I believe it was a second or third drive where they converted like 3 or 4 third downs, all passes to Garrett Wilson, all looked sharp. The one pick Aaron Rodgers had was a tip ball. Then you watch Cousins. He's like having trouble throwing, having trouble planting, bad interceptions, bad reads. I just don't like it. I give some credit to the Steelers defense, but yeah, until I see something better out of Cousins, I'm going to go Godwin here. That's it. I mean, do either of you guys have an opinion on that? Godwin or London 0.5 point this week?
You know, I in 0.5 point or full point, I would probably go Chris Godwin too. You said all the right things, but what you didn't say, and what I want to emphasize here,
do it.
What Cooper Kupp in the slot did to the Lions last week.
Yep.
And now you have Godwin in that power slot role. I think, it would not surprise me if he got 12 targets and absolutely went off.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. So
and Vegas total 51.5 versus 47. So you got that the game total a little bit higher. Receiving yards wise, Godwin projected a little bit higher at 63.5.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Follow the money. Pete, did you have anything else, or is that pretty much it?
And I think he blows that away.
No, I was going to say the same thing as Anthony did. So
Anthony's stealing your thunder, that son of a bitch. Well, we'll give this question to you, Pete. How's that sound? Mr. Bobby Johnson over on the Facebook. He says he has Mostert, who obviously is out tonight. Pick up. I think he's telling us he could pick up either guy. So let's pretend he could pick up either guy. Alexander Madison or Jamal Williams. Who would you start out of those two, assuming he had to pick one of them up?
I'm starting Madison. He has more.
Right?
What do you say?
I just was saying that I don't love either, but I agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm starting Madison. Again, I'm not in love with it, but at the end of the day, Baltimore's a tough matchup, but this Raiders team can see themselves playing from. What's going on, Anthony?
No, I'm agreeing with you.
This Raiders team could see themselves playing from behind, and Madison was the receiving back last week. And not for nothing, I like Jamal Williams, but Alvin Kamara is a better running back than what Madison has next to him, which is Zamir White. So I'd go Madison here.
I will just say we got a whole bunch of you beautiful people watching, but not enough likes. If you could, just please hit the like button. It's very easy. Very
28 simple. On YouTube. Nice.
So yeah, hit that like button. Helps us out immensely. I just saw one like come in. So there you go. Good job. Good work, people. Yes. And you're welcome, Greg. All right. Anthony, let's go to you with this next question. What are you smiling? You doing all these reactions over there? What's going on?
Because every time Greg has the Ed O'Neill, Al Bundy, and I'm like, I don't know. I just, whenever Greg talks or types, I just see that Al Bundy thing.
Yeah.
It just makes me laugh.
It's an incredible show. Got to find out where that show is and watch it again.
I like when we used to put the teardrop, the fake fucking teardrop.
Yes. That show would never survive that. But yeah. I see JMW85, who's got a Niner logo. So bang, bang, Niner gang. Welcome, my friend. He wants to know, Anthony, I'll kick this one to you. DJ Moore or Jamison Williams in flex this week. This is full point per reception. He's starting Nico Collins. He's starting Jalen Waddle. He also has Higgins, but Higgins, as we know, is dealing with some injuries. So, Anthony, DJ Moore or the love of your life, the other love of your life besides Ezekiel Elliott, Jamison Williams.
So I'm in on DJ Moore this year.
We're all making some weird faces today, by the way.
I just like it's hard to bench DJ Moore, but last week didn't look good. He even left the game a little bit with an injury, obviously came back. I just, the matchup against Houston, right? Like Houston gave up a couple of big plays, but nothing outside of those big plays really stood out to me. Meanwhile, Jamison Williams, this is a situation where he's coming off of a career game. He was hyper targeted compared to past games he's ever played. I might lean Jamison Williams, and it is risky because DJ Moore is the number one receiver there, and we don't have Rome Odunze. The only thing that would make me pivot is if Keenan Allen, who's also banged up, if Keenan Allen sits, I think you sit DJ. I think you start DJ Moore. But like
he didn't practice today too, Keenan.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I think I go JMO. Wow, this is tough.
Yeah, it is tough. It's crazy because DJ Moore and Calvin Ridley were two guys I loved, and they're both sits, and DK Metcalf. All three of them have been sits for the first 2 weeks. They've just drawn really tough matchups to start the year.
I just don't fucking trust Caleb right now.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. But
when he can complete at least 50% of his passes,
I think the volume will be there, but it's not crazy. I mean, this is a good matchup for Detroit against Tampa Bay's defense. Sure. So I feel like I'm not really. I think to Anthony's point, if Keenan doesn't play, I'm definitely starting DJ Moore. If Keenan does play, I could be swayed on JMO. But at the end of the day, I'm still starting DJ. I'm starting DJ probably either way.
And like Tampa Bay on paper, they're the number one defense against wide receivers. They barely got Jaden Daniels didn't throw a pass the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Never threw his wide receivers. Scared the shit out of
11 total targets to wide receivers last week. That's 11. No wonder why they were number one.
Yeah, I know. We do have a super chat though.
Let's do it.
So this is coming from Trill. I'm gonna say Sebi, right?
Trill.
Sebi sounds good. Yeah. It's coming in with the super chat. We appreciate you. If that was Pete asking the question, he would try and pronounce your name 37 times and then you would apologize. Do I drop pizza? Probably. Do I drop Chase? Is he saying? Oh, Chase Brown. I thought he said tomorrow. Yeah. Do I drop Chase Brown for Jalen Warren, Jeudy? Oh, he's saying, do I drop one of these guys? There we go. Chase Brown, Jalen Warren, Jerry Jeudy for Jeff Wilson. So does he drop one of those players for Jeff Wilson? Pete. No,
I mean, if Achane doesn't play, sure. I'd be comfortable dropping Jeudy. I'd be comfortable dropping Jeudy. If you feel like you need to win this week, I think Jeff Wilson. I think Jeff Wilson can have a good week. I'm sorry, Deshaun. Here's the part of the reason I would say that the the Jags have the Browns have another tough matchup. The Browns have another tough matchup this week, and they're going against the Jags, who, quite honestly, played the Dolphins tough as hell till the end of the game. And I think Deshaun Watson is going to be running for his life again. So I could see you dropping Jeudy this week. If Achane doesn't play and you're gonna start Jeff Wilson, you have to start him. I'm not picking Jeff Wilson up to sit on the bench, but if you're gonna start Jeff Wilson because Achane is out, I would drop Jeudy only because I could see a world where Jeudy has another flat week and nobody picks him up. And then you could probably pivot and go pick up Jeudy again. I don't think Jerry Jeudy is going to have a great year to the point where you're going to kick yourself that much, to be honest.
Well, I disagree.
It's short-sighted. I think it's short-sighted.
I agree with your last point.
That's the thing. I think it's short-sighted.
I agree with your last point that Sebi won't be walking down the beach throwing rocks into the water saying, I should have never dropped Jeudy. What the hell was I thinking?
Yeah.
I personally, though, if it's me, if we're going on that stance that you said, let's say Devon Achane isn't playing. Let's go with that, No, I think I'd drop Jaylen Warren. I think Jaylen Warren would be the guy for me.
Here's the thing.
Now, clearly, I don't know. I'm actually interested in Anthony's answer here.
Here's the thing. Jaylen Warren barely got touches and barely got snaps. Same thing with Chase Brown. Chase Brown played half the snaps of Moss. Moss even got more receiving targets, but I don't know how this Bengals offense is going to shake out right now after week one. But I kind of do think I know how Pittsburgh's going to shake out because of Arthur Smith. I don't know if Jaylen Warren with Najee healthy is ever going to be used the way he was used last year because of Arthur Smith. So he might be – now, someone's going to pick up Jaylen Warren when you drop him. But the reason why, I've never been a Jerry Jeudy guy. I'm very interested. I have him on a lot of teams. The reason why is, not only did the Browns trade for him, they signed him. They like Jerry Jeudy. They see something in Jerry Jeudy. Last week, Jerry Jeudy, only third in snaps with 57, while the other two receivers had 66 each. But he also had 8 targets, ran 46 routes, and did catch a touchdown. Jacksonville got smoked last week.
Did he catch a touchdown last week?
Yeah.
He did.
And Miami wide receivers each over at 100 total yards each. So, I don't trust this Jacksonville secondary. If there is a get-right game, it might be this week for Deshaun Watson.
Yeah. I'm just reading this quick, and then we'll get into a next question.
Jacksonville doesn't have Dallas pass rush.
No, well, you say that, but, I mean...
He did say that. That happened. That was a real thing.
I did a show on the defensive streamers. I love Jacksonville this week on the defensive streamers.
Sure, but they're not Dallas.
Yeah, but I mean, Trayvon Walker and Armstead and Trayvon Walker are two really good defenders. I mean, last week they combined for 3 last week against the Dolphins, who I don't know, and that's a banged up Browns offensive line. Jedrick Willis didn't play last week, neither did Conklin. If both of those guys, look, I didn't realize Jeudy had a touchdown. I didn't realize he had that good of a week last week. So I'm pivoting. I probably would drop Chase Brown in my opinion, because I think the only thing is Jaylen Warren, to Anthony's point, the Pittsburgh has a great matchup against Denver this week. And so there is a chance that Warren has a flashy play or two and has a salvageable week where he gets picked up if you drop him. Now, Anthony's point, it's is he going to be consistently someone you can start? I don't know. I do think Najee's a better back than what Chase Brown is being blocked by, which would be Zach Moss. So there's more of a path to playing time for Chase Brown, probably.
Sure.
I don't know. I could be swayed either way. I'm probably not dropping any of these guys for Jeff Wilson, regardless. But if you were, I was trying to make an argument for if you were, which guy I would. But you've convinced me. I'm probably dropping Chase Brown, though.
I'll close this out also by just referring to my last point of what I said. I think Mike McDaniel would like to go to Jeff Wilson because of their history with the Niners, blah, 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 blah. But I think at the end of the day, Anthony, stop rolling your fucking eyes. I'm making a point that you're going to agree with, you idiot. Yeah, exactly. Cock balls. I think at the end of the day, though, Wilson does not stack up with Wright, and I think Wright will prove that really quickly. So if you pick up Wilson, I think it's going to blow up in your face. Now, does that make you happy, Anthony? That answer? Can you not roll your eyes now?
It's great. Great answer.
Oh, it's great. Yeah. It's about time you approve of something. And by the way, just to Pete's point, Jeudy did score a touchdown, but he also did catch only 3 of 8 targets for 25 yards. So he didn't, so he didn't go
Nobody
nuts.
did anything.
I know that.
That's my Cowboys secondary.
But by the way, we gave some extra context, and that's again what we'll do with the super chats. If you guys send them, we'll give you a little bit more.
Thank you, Sebby.
We appreciate that, man. Thanks a lot. And before Hoff continues, I just want to point out we're not trying to be greedy or anything, but if you look in the chat and you are here, there is probably about 35 questions, guys. We're not going to be able to get to everyone. So if you want your question to be answered, just send us in a super chat. It could be $2, which is what Trill sent in. We're not trying to be stingy or anything. We're trying to get to everybody, and we're also
you just simply tell them if they want to send a super chat.
Yeah, we have to keep hammering it.
Especially when Anthony keeps rolling his fucking eyes at me. We can't get through this show. I'm reading this just because it makes me laugh. There's no context. There's no answer. There's no nothing. Just makes me laugh. Then we'll go to the next question. Bobby Johnson says, Daniel Jones stinks. He stinks. He effing stinks. I wouldn't touch a Giants offensive player until they get a decent QB. No context needed. Just made me laugh. So, and he went on to say, I'm not sure what's going to be worse for Giants fans if Daniel Jones plays well or if he shits the bed again. That's a good point, Bobby. Bobby, this sounds like therapy for you. I don't know if you're a Giants fan.
Well, if he gets hurt, they're on the hook for like a lot of money. So it might be better off to just give him a sip.
There we go. Yes. It was such a bad contract. All right. I forget where we were at. I'm going to go to Anthony on this one.
Jesus, right. Come on, let's go.
Derek, let's be serious here. Derek JJ says full point per reception. Tua, or Anthony Richardson. In flex, he's got PPR, pick one. Okay, Devonta Smith, Jaden Reed, or Jerome Ford. So he's asking you to. So it's 2 parts here. He wants you to pick Tua or Anthony Richardson. I would say Anthony Richardson. Then he wants you to pick one flex in a PPR format: Devonta Smith, Jaden Reed, or Jerome Ford. My 2 answers would be Anthony Richardson and Jaden Reed. Anthony, what says you? Oh, Achane's a go.
He's officially active.
Yes, officially active.
So I am going to lean Anthony Richardson and Devonta Smith. I'll keep that one pretty simple. Ford is very touchdown dependent right now, but like a big reason why I love Jeudy and I like to get right game for Cleveland, because past couple of years, like Jacksonville's run defense has been good. Their secondary sucks. I don't know what I don't think they try to improve it.
Yeah,
but their run defense is good.
Ford had 6 receptions too, though, so he does also have the ability to give you a 4.
But over Devonta Smith.
No, God, no.
And we like Atlanta's defense, but like they're probably going to try to take out AJ Brown. Devonta Smith on Monday Night Football normally shows the fuck out too.
Yeah, I think AJ Brown's going to still eat him up a little bit, but it's going to be a tough matchup.
To be clear, does he show out or does he show the fuck out? To be clear,
shows the
for
fuck
the listeners. Oh, shows the fuck out. Okay, cool. This one is going over to Pete. This is from TDM Mall. He says, Houston, we have a problem, which means you have a problem because you didn't spell Houston correctly. But Houston, we have a problem. Pick 3 here. So he's got Hill. I assume that's Tyreek Hill, obviously. Cooper Kupp, Marvin Harrison Jr., or Jalen Waddle. So out of those studs, who's the odd man out, Pete?
I'm sitting Waddle. It's painful. I mean, you got 4 great guys here. I mean, you can't start Hill and Waddle. In my opinion, I'm not starting both. So that's number 1. But number 2, I know Marvin Harrison had a bad game. Justin Jefferson, if you go back his rookie year, he had a bad week 1 as well as a rookie. Marvin Harrison, that was the clips of him being as slow as he was. That's not the guy that we're used to. But I'm starting Hill, Kupp, and Harrison. Harrison's got a really good matchup this week. I'd start those 3.
Yeah. Anthony, I'm going to kick this one to you because JH over on YouTube, he asked us a question, but then he proceeded to add a super chat there. He gave us a little donation at the end of the back end. So let's get to his question now. He says, my lineup for week 2, Anthony: Dak, Jacobs, Henry, CD, like that connection. Dell, Coleman, Goddard, and Kamara in the flex. Should I keep Keon Coleman in the lineup or should I put in George Pickens? So,
I hate this question.
buddy, I like it and appreciate the donation.
I hate this question
Okay.
because I'm a Pickens guy. I feel like I've gotten this already, and I would say the safe play is Keon Coleman, right? Now, I will say you got Patrick Surtain. He's probably going to lock up Pickens. My issue with sitting Pickens is that no matter how good a corner is, Pickens is one of the best playmakers I've seen in a long time. And he can take a 5-yard pass, make it a 100-yard touchdown. But still, with the way Seattle ran down Denver's throats, I think it's going to be a heavy Najee Harris day, maybe Justin Fields, like even Geno Smith had 30 and a touchdown or 25 and a touchdown. So I think Justin Fields gets going with his legs. Now, moving forward, I think you're going to be great with George Pickens. There's already rapport there, but I think we play it safe this week and go Keon Coleman. And it doesn't feel good, and I don't like it. But I think that's the safe play to go. I just –
yeah,
what Surtain did to those Seattle receivers, like he's legit.
There's a reason why that boy got paid. Yeah. No, I agree with literally every single word you said. So I'm not even going to piggyback anything off of that.
That's right. Is it promising that like Pickens got 7-8 targets?
No, yeah,
of course. He's going to be. I
sure.
think this is a big coming out party, but not this week. The game script to me is, I think Steelers just going to run down Denver's throats. Like,
if there's someone who. Okay, Pete, go ahead, man.
I was just saying, it's also worth noting it's one of the lowest point totals on the week.
Yes,
He's got a tough matchup. Look, we don't really know what to expect in Keon Coleman's defense. He ran the most routes out of any Buffalo receiver last week, which I was not expecting. He ran 10 more than Mac Hollins. And for what it's worth, you're just praying that he gets into the end zone. If it's a high scoring game, and it's going to be more high scoring than the Denver-Pittsburgh game, I would just go with that. Better quarterback, better matchup, and higher points. Yeah. All that favors Keon Coleman.
If you're somebody who's watching week 1, and if you have Pickens rostered, you're saying, thank God that they didn't get Brandon Ayuk, because you saw the targets he gets, and we're going to continue to see that. So, yeah, so good stuff there. Pete, I'm going to go to you on this one. It's coming from Mr. Zach Linton, who's obviously a longtime friend of the show. Keon Coleman or Brian Thomas Jr.? This is a tough one. Two rookies.
Not so tough. I mean, I think I go Brian Thomas Jr., man. He looks so good, man. I mean, I looked at the tape and he was a guy that I watched. I mean, his routes.
Did you see how much ground he covered on that touchdown?
Yeah, dude.
To get to the corner.
He's clean, man. He looks ready to go. And quite honestly, it's a good matchup. I mean, Denzel Ward, the Browns have a good defense, but Denzel Ward probably covers Kirk or Gabe Davis, and Brian Thomas Jr. is gonna get opened up for some yards. I go Brian Thomas here.
And then Anthony, I'm gonna go to you because this kind of piggybacks literally off what you were just talking about. Gustavo asks, he says he's got Pickens. Yeah, Gustavo, friend of the program. He's got Pickens in his flex, but he's considering, because he's going to get shadowed by Patrick Surtain, who you talked about, Anthony. Should he look into Zach Moss or Ladd McConkey? And for context purposes, this is a full point per reception, Anthony. So Zach Moss or Ladd McConkey over George Pickens. What says you?
See, now Moss dominated the running back reps, the production, the goal line score. He got the touchdown, but he gets the Chiefs. The Chiefs were able to minimize Derrick Henry. I think like under 4 yards rushing, but Henry did score. Ladd McConkey had the best game of Chargers receivers, and Palmer is on the injury report. So I think I would go Palmer. I mean, I would go Ladd.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, that's what I thought you meant. Yeah. All right, let's get.
Are you worried about the weather in that game? Because they're saying it's going to rain in that Chargers game. That's the only reason why I worry a little bit about Ladd.
In Carolina, I mean,
yeah. We'll cover that on Sunday. We'll cover that on Sunday when we see the weather get close. But it is supposed to rain. So I'm pretty sure.
which is a fantastic PSA for anybody watching. We do a live show on Sunday. It's going to be Anthony and Pete answering your questions towards when you've got to set the lineups, make your final decisions. The soul searching will be over at that point. Pete and Anthony will be there to help you win week 2. So definitely tune in here, and you can do so by hitting that bell icon. You'll be notified every single time we go live on the YouTube. I am going to go to, who the hell did I just say? I just asked Anthony. I'm going to go to Pete on this one. Pete, this is coming from Will. And I think Will asked us at the top of the show, might have been him asking about DeAndre Swift, if I'm correct. So now he's saying Swift, Gus Edwards, or Chase Brown. So if you have to pick one of those players to start, which would it be? Let's assume it's half point.
Oh man,
just because it's the middle ground of standard and full.
Sure.
Right? It's not good. Not great.
No, it's not great. I'm trying to think. So the matchups here, and I apologize. I'm trying to look. Chicago plays Houston. That's a tough matchup for Swift. But if Keenan Allen and Adunze are both out, which Adunze is, could open up some receiving work for Swift.
Pete, the other thing to keep in mind, J.K. Dobbins, apparently, according to Anthony and Steve, he's going to be the MVP of the league this year. So you got to keep that in mind when you're answering this question.
I would go with J.K. I would go Gus Edwards. I'm going Gus Edwards. It's nothing against J.K. Dobbins. I think Dobbins can have a phenomenal game. Dobbins only saw 10 carries, and they were pretty close to an even split. And the Chargers have the second best matchup on the week. Carolina's run defense is atrocious. So you're hoping that Gus Edwards gets – I mean, between the three of these guys, you're really just saying, can someone either score a touchdown or catch enough passes to give me 10 points?
Yes.
And I think Gus Edwards gives you the best chance there.
Starting one of these guys.
I agree with Gus Edwards. I think both Gus and Dobbins at least find the end zone.
Yeah. So starting one of these guys is kind of like starting a tight end where you're just hoping they fall into the end zone because then they make your fantasy day. That's literally what this is. So there you go. Last rights, which sounds a lot like what you were talking about, Anthony, before we went on the air. He's saying, who does he start between Christian Kirk, Shakir, or Ladd McConkey? He's leaning Ladd right now. His other two wide receivers are CeeDee Lamb, Garrett Wilson. RBs, I need 3. Okay, so let's go with this first, though, and then we'll get to the RB part. Christian Kirk, Shakir, or Ladd McConkey? He doesn't mention if it's PPR or not. Let's assume it's half.
I mean, with those receivers, I hope it's PPR. I'm going to go Khalil Shakir slightly over Kirk out of these.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, listen, I'm going off of what all the 5 straight games. Josh Allen at least 300 yards passing against Miami. And in January in this matchup, Shakir went over 100 yards in I think 4 receptions, 5 receptions. Kirk, I think there could be a changing of the, Brian Thomas looks like the number 1 receiver with the Jaguars, but they got Cleveland. They got Cleveland, right? Yeah. I don't love that matchup against Cleveland. Cleveland's going to be pissed this week. So I'm going to go Shakir.
He also did add RBs. He needs 3. So Pacheco, Hill, Ray Davis, Zamir White, or Jamal Williams. Weak RBs he follows up with. So, you're unfortunately not wrong. Maybe that's why you have last rights.
Well, Pacheco for sure.
For sure. Zamir White sneaks in there. These are all after Isaiah Pacheco. Any answer we give you is by default.
Honestly, who does Baltimore play? Raiders.
Baltimore plays Vegas. I think Hill is a solid start too.
All Hill is going to get is he got 6 receptions because Baltimore was trailing. I worry about his overall usage. I think Baltimore,
or they beat the piss out of them and they bench Henry.
I think I fucking still like Justice Hill and risk it because this.
He's got to start 3 though. He's going to start 3 though.
Yeah, and Zamir.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
I don't like these options. It's like you got Zamir contending with Madison in a tough matchup. You got Jamal Williams contending with Kamara in a tough matchup. You got Ray Davis. I love Ray Davis. I'm not thrilled with his usage right now.
I guess you just got to hope that Zamir ends up being the hot hand for the game. too.
Just following up with the fun I had reading the Giants comments without any context, because this is kind of alluding to one. I just got to read this because it's funny. Paul says over on the Facebook, you think the Giants are bad? Panthers home opener tickets are going for $5.
Jesus Christ.
Good times. Good times.
By the way, I want
their owner is such an inept prick.
Their
David
owner's a
Tepper.
I know he sucks.
Ever since he threw like the drink on a fan, like,
did he get suspended for that? Did he get suspended?
Douchebag, are you?
I don't think he got suspended. He probably got fined. I'm sure he got something.
It was a fine.
Yeah, he probably got fined.
Yeah. So just so we're for everybody, anybody that even thinks of starting Jeff Wilson, the sports books have him. His highest number is for Achane is 82.5 rushing and receiving yards on FanDuel. So the sports books think that he's going to be used and he's going to be fine.
Good to go.
So I wouldn't even consider starting Jeff Wilson, guys.
Someone's got to tweak their DFS lineups. That being me.
I need it.
We're up the.
I just put that 365 has his line at 79.5.
And way too much Devin Achane. Way too much money in that fuck in my fantasy leagues.
Jeez. Wow. Okay. All right. Anthony's coming with it. Anthony, didn't you tell me once this is a family program? Didn't you say that once?
Yeah. We grew up.
Fucking hell, you said that to me. I guess shit changes once the season starts. Anyway, this question is going over to Pete. Is this coming from Mad Mix? So maybe some Tex Mix 76 over on the YouTube. He says, "Sup, fellas, full point per reception. Starting Amon-Ra St. Brown. Which two out of Palmer, Brandon Cooks?" Oh, man, talk about hopelessly devoted. Me and Brandon Cooks, man, we are tied to the hip. DeMarcus Robinson, who would you start? So it's Joshua Palmer, Brandon Cooks, or DeMarcus Robinson. Full point per reception, Pete. Where you leaning?
Yeah. Brandon Cooks and DeMarcus pretty comfortably. Big Josh Palmer fan, but if it's gonna rain, I didn't love what I saw last week, and I just think Cooks and Robinson. I'd rather roll the dice with those two guys. We do have a super chat, so I wanted to get to that as well. Okay. Celeris came in here, appreciate it. He said, "Who do I play on my two flex spots? Half PPR, Dobbins, McConk." I meant to pull it up. Sorry. Two flex spots, half PPR, Dobbins, McConkey, McLaurin, or DJ Moore, and then Dak or Fields for quarterback this week. I'll let one of you guys take that first.
Anthony, why don't you take the you take the wide receiver one? I'll take the quarterback one.
Well, it's flex, right? So Dobbins is one for sure. Like he's an all-in guy for me coming off of last week. I'll roll the dice on Dobbins. And I like Gus said, I think they both score, but I think the more talented running back, the more explosive guys, Dobbins. And that's DJ Moore, McLaurin. I mean, I'll say this. I'll go Dobbins and I'll go Terry McLaurin. This is a nice matchup for Terry McLaurin. And this is a good, like a betting trend for anybody who likes prop betting. Terry McLaurin against the New York Giants outside of the second matchup last year. He's gone for at least 70 yards in every single career game against the Giants, except the last matchup of last year. So that's like over 9 games. So and a couple of 100-yard games and 90 and 86. So it's a good laddering opportunity. He normally plays well against New York. When it comes to receptions, at least 5 receptions in every single career game but one, and then at least 6, 7, 8. So I think this is a high floor play against the New York Giants this week. So I'm going McLaurin and I will go Dobbins. Like I just don't really trust DJ Moore right now. I don't love the situation. I need to see Caleb Williams play like he did in the preseason before I trust DJ Moore.
Sure. Okay. If it's Dak Prescott or Justin Fields for quarterback this week, this is why, and I think Pete said earlier in the program, week one's always a little wonky. And I think this is why you're not married to the results of week one all the time. Dak Prescott didn't have the best fantasy output against the Browns, but guess what? That's because he didn't have to. That's because Dak Prescott and the Cowboys had that game handled, so he didn't have to show out. Then you look at Justin Fields. He did okay. He did all right. Now he's going up against Denver. I don't think that's a much different level of opponent to where I could say confidently, oh, well, he's going to play great. I go Dak Prescott here without even thinking about it. He's going up against the New Orleans Saints. And yes, I know Lattimore's there. And I know the Saints defense can be good at times, but let's not forget they played the Carolina Panthers, who we were told earlier their home opener is going for $5. They're not a good football team. This is a game where Dak Prescott can have some fun. And I know what you're saying, too, to my point when I said the game was out of hand last week. The Cowboys were able to just do whatever they wanted. But I think this game in particular, because at least the Browns pose a threat to Dak Prescott to start the game. Just turned out that it was a shit show. I think Dak Prescott's going to have some fun in this one. Indoor game, I like it a lot. I've got him ranked in some of my top 12, so Dak Prescott is the easy answer for me. So
I go both. I agree with Anthony's on the wide receivers and the flex. Dobbins is easy for half point. I think. I mean, I'm a Broncos fan, but look, if Russ is okay, if Fields looks bad, like there's a chance that Russ plays at some point if he suits up and is the backup. So like, it wouldn't shock me. And quite honestly, like, Denver's defense, they got to the quarterback pretty good last week. So I don't know. Fields worries me. Call me a homer, but New Orleans, their defense is good, but like they were also played the Panthers last week. I like the Saints, but give me Dak, the better quarterback, better offense in a dome. Playing there. We do have another super chat from KB, and he said likely or Kincaid. So we'll answer that one first.
I'm going Kincaid. I believe in the bounce back.
Okay, so you're on Kincaid.
Yeah, and I don't think likely he's going to give you that week one performance that he gave you. Like, I don't think this is one of those things. Like, don't read too much into week one. I don't think Mark Andrews is left for dead. So I think likely comes down a bit, and I think Kincaid. I think they'll be within a few points of each other. Whoever scores more.
This is more about Kincaid than likely. Like, I think likely is going to be a solid play. Like the context here, Mark Andrews historically against Kansas City and Spags, he's never had a good game. They take him out, and Isaiah Likely 8. They both played exactly, Likely played in exactly one more snap than Mark Andrews. That tells me they're going to be able to coexist. I think Likely is going to be like that wide receiver too, because they don't really have one because it's not Rashad Bateman. But I think this is a bounce back game for Dalton Kincaid. Played 2 high PPR floor outings against Miami last year. And again, the historical performance of Josh Allen throws the hell out of the football against Miami. I'm actually taking the over on Kincaid's receiving line and him to score a touchdown tonight. I have a good amount of action in tonight's game. Those are 2 of my favorite plays. So I'm in on Kincaid. But again, likely, hold on to him.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're going to finish within a few points of one another. So it's not like, it's not you need to hit the panic button on somebody. But, yeah.
Other part of his question was he's got Marvin Harrison Jr., Ladd, Tank Dell, or Zach Moss, or Shaheed. So who would you start, I guess? One of them, I'm still going to start Marvin Harrison Jr.
I'm going Marvin Harrison
in a good matchup. Yeah,
yes, he's not going to do what he did last week.
Yeah, and if he does, he does. But I'm dying on the sword. Sure, I'm dying on that sword.
Especially with those options. I mean, the closest option for me after that would probably be Ladd McConkey. Personally, I guess in a way,
it would be Shaheed for me. Actually, I think possibly. I think it would be Shaheed for me.
We're splitting hairs about a guy that we're not going to start anyway because we're going to start Marvin Harrison.
Marvin Harrison for sure. By the way,
right. The second option, he said he would go Ladd. I said Shaheed. I only say that because if it's raining in a low scoring game with Ladd, New Orleans could be.
I'm going to call you Sam Champion.
It could be a high scoring game. I mean, the Saints just put up 40 plus fucking points, and Dallas can score. So that's why I just thought of it.
The other one,
I just thought of a graphic to make.
What about Keon Coleman over Reed? I don't trust that receiver room of Green Bay. And Reed's if I have to start any Green Bay receiver, it's Reed because of his versatility. But you remember the last time Malik Willis started an NFL game?
Brutal.
No, not good. And I actually liked him coming out of college, but that blew up my face. I'm still picking out shrapnel. I mean, I didn't invest too hard in the guy, but I just thought he'd be okay.
I'm
So
with
yeah.
Anthony.
Oh,
High
and then
scoring game.
yeah.
Same thing we talked about before. High scoring game. Give me the guy that both of it's uncertain. Give me the guy that's going to be in this game that's going to score more points for me with the better quarterback too.
Yeah. I'm only going to answer this only because I saw it come up when I was scrolling through the chats. Just people are asking, do we think CMC is going to play? I don't think he plays personally. I think the Niners are going to look to sit him this week. Anthony, you know what, Anthony? Why don't you answer all the Niner questions? Would that make you feel
We've
better?
also had a lot of Achane questions tonight.
And we've answered them, haven't we? Haven't we answered
people are
them
asking, hey, Achane's active. How do we think he's going to... let's answer.
You know what? Why don't you take over and ask the questions? Go ahead. Why don't you play host, buddy? Go ahead.
No, I'm good.
You're fucking good now. Yeah.
I do want to say we have 21 likes on YouTube. We got a lot of people in here. If you guys can just give us a thumbs up, we would appreciate it. I don't know what
a douche Anthony is.
Let's try to go rapid
Niners fantasy football show.
Let's try to get on track here and go rapid fire.
And Isaac Durango.
Fine, you guys won't know what I think about the Niners. Too bad.
What the fuck his name is?
Deal with it.
There are so many questions we haven't even answered. It's just a lot in here, guys.
Yeah,
I don't know where we left off.
Questions. We left off with. I'll do it. We left off with Unbox Man. He said, "Quick question, guys: Nabers or Shakir in the flex position? Thanks in advance." So, Anthony, unless you want to talk about the Niners, you douche, you can answer the question. Quick question: is he going with Nabers or Shakir in the flex?
I'm going Nabers in the match. I like Shakir tonight, but I'm going Nabers in that matchup.
And just to be serious, because people, if they see the injury report today, they saw Nabers popped up. You're not worried about that, right? Obviously, you're not worried about the injury report. No. Yeah, okay. I'm just saying, in case people see that. And
what I will say, one last thing about if Nabers doesn't pop this week,
okay,
and Daniel Jones doesn't play well, then I don't know when we can start Nabers again. And this is my fear why I don't have a lot of them. If Daniel Jones can't get this guy the ball against that secondary, he might be a full fade.
So all right. Pete? No? What?
No, I know what Anthony's saying. I know what he's saying. It's gonna be tough to keep him on the bench. But
so all right. Our next question, which Pete, I'll kick to you. I will say this is my favorite YouTube name of the day. 314 Skip to my Lou. Love that, buddy. Cheers. I can only kind of read part of this question because Anthony's gonna roll his eyes. Anthony, why don't you take the headphones off? No. Go take a walk. Go take Roman for a walk. If you can mentally handle the question I'm about to ask. If CMC is out, and this one goes to Pete. If CMC is out, does he start Mason or Mike Evans? This is a flex, full point per reception. Obviously, it's a flex. He also can sit. He can also sit Etienne or Kamara to start both. Wait.
Okay.
Sit Etienne or
so
Kamara.
I'm starting Evans. Yeah. I'm sitting Etienne for Mason. It sounds crazy.
Yeah, I can't sit Evans. I can't sit Evans. And I mean, Etienne, Tank Bigsby ate into that workload. I'm not saying I'm worried about Etienne full season, but Mason's not going to be fighting for snaps against anybody. And for what it's worth, I saw a stat that was like Mason was either he dealt with the most stacked boxes or it was like most yards after contact last week. And Mason dealt with the Jets defense was focusing on him and he still played really well. So I'm starting Mason against the Vikings. Okay.
And you're sitting Etienne.
I can't. I'm going to ride Mason the hot hand at this point.
I don't have an answer because I'm not allowed to have an opinion.
I might have to. I might have to agree with you and sit Etienne.
It's tough. I mean, Etienne has a tough matchup too. The Browns' defense is good.
Kamara is going to get those passes against Dallas.
I would probably do, all seriousness, I know we're joking about the Niners. I would do Mason over Etienne, but only because of the matchup. And only because of what we saw in week one.
Who would you sit though, Etienne or Kamara?
I would sit Etienne, is what I'm saying to you.
Yeah.
I would sit him, especially for the fact that he said this is full point per reception. That locks Kamara in for me. I just think that Kyle Shanahan is one of those guys that if the guy plays well, he's going to ride him. If he plays like shit, he's going to put him in a doghouse. So Mason clearly obviously played well, and the matchup for ETN is not great. So taking those things into account, that would be my decision. PPR, Kamara wins over ETN. So that's how that goes.
Yeah.
So
we have another super chat by Paul. So let me
Yes.
scroll down and grab that.
Thank you,
Paul,
God
we
bless you.
appreciate it. Yeah. Paul said one more. So he said one more. Did we grab his first one?
Yeah, I think he was. He messaged on Facebook and asked where the super chats were, and I directed him to you.
Yes. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool,
Yeah.
cool,
No,
cool.
actually, yeah. Paul was the one who made the comment about the Carolina Panthers and their
Yes.
$5.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Well, it checked to make sure, just in case he did ask another question, but we'll get to this one. He said, one more if you have time. Of course, he said, pick up.
I think we got to his other question, I think, but go ahead. But go ahead. You can ask that to Anthony. I'm sorry. I'm just
yeah, no, it's all good. Pick up one running back off waivers. Ty Chandler, Madison, or Justice Hill. If I'm starting one of them this week, it's Alexander Madison. If I'm picking a guy up for rest of the season, it might be Justice Hill. I have to think on that, but I mean, I think
Madison's to play.
I think it is
Madison's to play.
Even rest of the year,
because he was more productive than Zamir White, and he also played in a lot more snaps. I think he outsnapped Zamir White by like 20.
Hey, Ty Chandler could be the best of this bunch, though, if Aaron Jones gets injured, because I mean he does have that history, which is But I agree with Anthony. I think it's Madison for season long and for this week as well.
I wasn't expecting like a backfield shift.
Yeah, sure.
With Zamir White, like I thought they would run him a little bit more, and they immediately it was 35 snaps to 23 snaps.
Yeah.
So that's like a 60% snap share roughly for Alexander Madison.
So, all right. We will answer one or two more questions.
And Madison also saw 18.8% of the team's targets, targeted on 25% of his routes, and 1.79 yards per route run. So, pretty good receiving numbers for Madison as well, like metrics.
Yeah.
So, this one, Anthony, I'm going to kick to you only because you'll know when I ask it. And it's my friend, and he says he's always showering when he asks these questions. So Eric from the shower wants to know, Anthony, why doesn't Pete have headphones on? It's freaking him out.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I think you should have headphones.
That's right. We've tried to fucking tell him. We even had an intervention. I told him that it hurts me when he doesn't wear headphones, and he doesn't care. He's a jerk about it. So there you go. I just had to throw that out there for the fun of the show. All right, let's get to another question or two. We'll get to let's do two more questions.
Let's get a couple more, then we'll wrap up.
I'm just gonna go here.
Let's just bang them out quick. Just try to bang out as many as we can quick in the next 5 minutes, and then we'll drop.
Benny says, start, sit, Jeff Wilson or Chase Brown, Justice Hill. If you're only, I'm assuming you're only picking one. He says PPR. He says thanks, boys. I'm going Justice Hill there, and I don't like those options, but I'm going Justice Hill.
I don't love it either, but I think I also lean Justice Hill.
Yeah, I mean, who's Cincinnati play this week? The Chiefs.
Cincinnati's going up against the Chiefs.
Yeah, I go Chase Brown for the game script. Anthony's point before. If the Ravens are down, they're playing the Raiders. Like, I don't think Justice Hill sees that kind of volume. Chase Brown, they could be playing from behind, and they might pass the ball a good amount.
I felt that way too when they were playing from behind most of last week against New England, and Zach Moss was the guy, and that worries me.
Yeah,
which is why, like, Justice Hill, like, even if Baltimore has a lead, like Derrick Henry's still 30 years old.
Yeah.
So maybe we see a little bit more of an extended run. I just feel safer, I guess, with Justice Hill because I need to see. Like, I just Cincinnati offense just scares me until they stand up and all right, this is the real us. And I don't know if we get that this week.
Yeah,
this one's actually kind of interesting. Oh, I'm sorry, Pete.
No, I was just going to say let's just try to bang a couple out.
I think this one's interesting because we haven't had a trade question that involves two top running backs, one with an injury, but you guys can both answer this. Josh says on YouTube, he said he traded CMC for Bijan and Ridley. Thoughts? So. Right. Traded two running backs that we were all drafting at the top of our drafts. One is dealing with an injury. One is not. Guys, what says you? Do you like that trade?
Great trade.
I think it's a win.
Yeah, I think it's it's a win too.
You're getting close to a wash in Bijan and CMC.
Right.
Not to say, I mean, CMC is the better guy when he's on the field, but You're getting a
but
plus in
they were the
Ridley,
top
too.
3 running backs that were drafted. It was him, Brees Hall, it was CMC, Brees Hall, and Bijan. So yeah, you're getting that level of back, and you're also getting a wide receiver. So I dig it.
No, it's a
Yeah.
great trade, honestly.
Especially because who knows if this injury comes back? It could, very much could. This is something from last year. America is asking, who wins this trade? Full point per reception. What is it? Tyreek Hill, Pitts, Jalen Reed, and DeAndre Swift, or Rashee Rice, B. Rob, Tank Dell, or CJ Stroud. Who wins that trade?
Rice, B. Rob, Dell, and Stroud, or Hill.
Whoever's getting the Tyreek
Reed.
side wins that one to me. Especially you're getting Jaden Reed too. And
Yeah.
yeah, you're winning. That side's winning.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the year, that's the winning side for sure.
And I love Rashee Rice, but I think there's more
Oh,
guys.
I love Rashee Rice too.
Already getting involved, already getting the end zone. That offense just going to get better. Tyreek, probably the best player in this deal.
Yeah.
And then obviously Jaden Reed looks like a stud.
I think the Stroud part is interesting. I would love the context on that in the future because I would love to know, does that other team have another quarterback waiting in the wings and so on and so forth, yada, yada. That's why context is always key.
Listen, he has Jaden Reed. He might be the Jordan Love owner if he's making this deal too.
Yeah. All right. Coleman or McConkey. Let's just rip them through quick. Some of these.
Coleman.
Coleman for me.
Coleman.
Anthony.
Coleman for Anthony too. Move on.
Coleman or
Coleman.
Okay. Mason, Dobbins, or Stevenson. Mason for me.
Yeah, Mason.
PPR. Mason, Dobbins, Stevenson.
Mason. And I obviously if CMC's up, I go Dobbins, but all great options. But I think you have to go Mason here.
If CMC is up, I go Stevenson, but whatever.
Right. Well, yeah, of course. Well, if CMC's up, I go Dobbins.
I go Stevenson.
Yeah. All right. What else we got? Jay came in with a super chat before. I don't know if we fully answered this. If this might have been another question that he said his lineup. Did we get to this?
We did get to it.
We did. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
we did. Greg said, "Is that Brian Daboll's burner?" No. Debbie is here. Want to get to Debbie because she's in front of the show. Said, "Hey guys, 1 to 3 point PPR super flex Stroud or Jaden Daniels." I'm a little confused on the formatting there, but Stroud or Jaden Daniels, flex spot, Pollard or Shakir. Thanks in advance. Okay, so this is interesting because
I'm going Jaden Daniels among him and Stroud this week. I like Jaden Daniels. If you go into our archives, he is my start. He's one of my 3 starts of the week at quarterback. So I'm going Jaden Daniels.
I'm with you on that as well. I'm with you on that as well. Washington, the Giants defense, give me that. He rushed for 2 touchdowns last week.
You just have to hope he distributes the ball to the wide receivers, which Anthony talked about earlier.
Yeah. Pollard or Shakir is interesting because I had this question to you guys because I was discussing Pollard or Shakir. I'm going to start Pollard at this point. I mean, Shakir. Sorry, I'm going to start Shakir.
I just don't know if the Jets defense is that bad. I don't think it's that bad.
It's not that bad. It's not that bad. It's not that bad at all.
Exotic Lord, Devon Achane or Josh Jacobs? Achane.
I'm
going Achane as well. I worry about Josh Jacobs without like I know we're all like talking busting balls in a group chat. Josh Jacobs did not look good in that first half, and I think a big reason why it started opening up is because Philly shifted their defense. And now you got Josh Jacobs with no Jordan Love. That's going to be an issue.
Yeah, it is.
I think that's going to be an issue. I think he's going to see a ton of stacked boxes.
All right, Pete, I think we got 1 or 2 more questions, and then we got to set some lineup.
Metcalf or Drake London, pretty much rest of the season. Who would you prefer, London or Metcalf?
Rest of season? I'm going
DK. He's asking, should I trade Metcalf to get London? So I'm just asking rest of season to make it.
I wouldn't trade Metcalf to get London. I think the Falcons, to be quick, I think the Falcons offense does turn things around. I think they are better. I think Drake London will be good, but ultimately I think DK Metcalf will be better. So, yeah. I wouldn't move DK.
I go London.
No,
I would go London as well.
Well,
I
they're
got-
both wrong.
Just putting faith in Kirk. That's it, man. If Kirk can't get it turned around, then it blows
You
up.
want
in
to
our
do a
face.
pizza bet on that rest of the season?
Another reason why
I'm
London
not ready.
has
I'm not ready to do it. I need to see another week with
London
Kirk,
has
and
to
then I'll do it.
contend. You know what they got? Darnell Mooney, where like you got JSN there.
And Lockett, who had 8 catches last week.
Yeah.
Oh my God, darn it.
All right, two more. Hubbard or Bigsby. Henry is the other starter, deep 14 PPR league.
Chuba Hubbard, but I was not impressed with week 1. But yeah, I'd go Chuba slightly, only because Jonathan Brooks isn't there right now.
Yeah,
but I don't love it.
I don't
love
like either one. They're both tough matchups. I guess Hubbard, but
yeah. Oh, but again, probably only because Jonathan Brooks isn't there, right?
Yeah.
Like if Jonathan Brooks isn't there, you're going the other way. I mean, if he's there, you're going the other way.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I don't
Bigsby was more.
We're gonna have a better feel.
Carries.
No, but we're gonna have a better. By the time Brooks comes, if we're talking about Brooks, by the time he comes back, we'll have a better idea of what Bigsby's role is, if it's sustainable, and if they're gonna actually continue to use him this way. Last one from Jason.
He's our Mr. Irrelevant with the questions. Welcome, buddy.
James Cook, Reed, London, Harris, Ford, half-point PPR, need an RB2 and a flex here. I go James Cook. I think he's gonna have a good game tonight. And man,
all right, no, I'm not going.
I go nine. I go. It's between London or Harris. I'm gonna go London and just ride it.
Yeah, I would go James Cook in London. Here, I apologize. Yes.
I would go London and Harris.
Yeah.
Or Cook and Harris. Like I need to get Harris in there against Denver.
All right, so that's gonna do it. But yeah, so that's it for our show today. We got some lineups to set, but the guys will be back tomorrow. I will not be in attendance. The guys will be back tomorrow. We'll also be back over the weekend. So if you're on the YouTube, feel free to hit the like button, the subscribe button, hit the bell icon. You'll be notified every single time that we go live with these fun shows. We appreciate everybody who came out tonight. But until next time, stay thirsty, be kind to one another. Catch you on the flip side. Cheers.